and I'll conclude my remarks there. Thank you.
Fiona Bruce.
Thank you, Ms Rees. I too would like to add my appreciation to the Right Honourable Member for Chingford and Woodford Green for securing this important debate and for succeeding in his purposes before he even stood up to speak. I know that success comes from some considerable time spent campaigning on this and many other issues relating to human rights in Hong Kong, the concerning deteriorating position, and I commend him for it, and also others in this chamber. And of course I join them in welcoming the government's statement today. Just a few comments, if I may. The UK legal community remains one of the most highly respected in the world, and I'm proud to declare an interest as this list is still on the roll. Nearly a third of the world's population today live in an English common law jurisdiction or a jurisdiction with common law features. And the fact that citizens from all over the world travel to our country to receive justice is a reflection of our leadership when it comes to the protection of the rule of law. And that's why today's decision by the government, this announcement is so important, because we have to retain that consistency in order to retain the respect that we have worldwide regarding our system of justice. And I see this day after day in my role as the Prime Minister's Special Envoy for Freedom of Religion or Belief as I work on cases across the world. And so I know for many of us, it's been particularly, my notes say difficult, but I would say distressing to look on the deteriorating human rights situation in Hong Kong over what has actually been a very few years. It's been the speed and alacrity of that deterioration has been, as I say, distressing. The dismantling of rights previously protected under Hong Kong's basic law, the dismantling of not only the one country, two systems model, but also the English common law system. And I just want to take this opportunity briefly, and I have certainly curtailed most of my speech, just to put on record some specific concerns and examples as to why this decision today is so important. We have seen attempts to intimidate the Hong Kong legal community. We saw the shameful targeting of the former head of the Hong Kong Bar Association, Paul Harris QC, who was forced to flee the city after being questioned under the national security law last month. We saw judges who offered what were perceived to be lenient sentences targeted by the pro-Beijing media, as was the case with District Judge Sham Tiu Man, who also had to flee the city in October 2021 after being attacked by the pro-Beijing publication Wen Vai Po. And of course, even more recently, like others, I'm a patron of Hong Kong Watch, we saw that a UK-based NGO targeted under the national security law. Now, I recognise that there have been some in the UK legal community who made the case, or endeavoured to make the case, that our foreign judges could be a moderating influence on the Hong Kong government whilst they remained, and could serve as a ballast against extreme sentencing and a further deterioration of human rights. But I'm glad that the government has today wholly rejected that view, because that moderating influence had been in severely short supply. In the last 2 years, Hong Kong Watch reports that there were over 720 political prisoners in Hong Kong and over 10,000 protesters arrested since 2019. Student activist Tony Chung received 3.5 years in jail for social media posts advocating independence, and Tong Yin Kit was given 6.5 years of his national security sentence for waving a flag with the protest slogan, "Liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our times." Clearly, we couldn't allow the Hong Kong government to continue to use the credentials and credibility of UK judges and their counterparts in Canada, Australia and New Zealand, although that's obviously an issue that those counterparts would have to look at themselves, but to use this as a smokescreen to hide their attacks on the rule of law, on democracy and on basic human rights. And so today I'm delighted that the government has stood on the side of the oppressed and not with the oppressor, and withdrawn our judges from Hong Kong.
Shannon.